Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Sunday, March 13th. Ian Cameron, Vito, Renus Vitolin's with us here as always on a weekend, ready to break down the Sunday card. And man, is it a huge slate for a Sunday. Get used to this. You know, I've mentioned the last two Sundays that we were going to have at least 6 games on a Sunday the rest of the regular season. Some Sundays are going to have 6. I know there's some that are going to have about 7 or 8. This one today has 10 games on the slate. So it is a massive Sunday of action. We will get to it, and I will be in attendance at one of these games. The outdoor game, the Heritage Classic, Leafs and Sabres, later this afternoon at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, where it's going to be very windy and gusty for this game this afternoon. We'll see what kind of impact that has on the hockey game. Looking forward to that. Should be fun. Obviously, you got to be dressed for the occasion. It's going to be windy, going to be a little chill in the air, but definitely looking forward to it. Vito, how was your Saturday? What did you think of yesterday's games?
Yeah, well, the games are pretty interesting at the moment. Some underdogs are showing up. I mean, some teams are not scoring, which we are looking to score, like Devils, for example. They're still putting us up some scoring chances. I mean, just puck didn't go in, you know. It is what it is sometimes. I still think they will show up. But yeah, cashed the best bet, I think, at the show, which I made Habs and Kraken. Well, Habs come back late, but it is what it is. It's a win. And, getting ready for this show today. I mean, you guys already turned your clock 1 hour ahead or back. So I was just actually getting prepared for the slate. I'm kind of in the middle, but I'm still ready. I'm always ready. Any given hour in the night, you can wake me up. I'm always ready to talk slate with anyone, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. We're always ready. I think we both got a little bit, thrown off by the time change. At least I did. We were turning the clocks ahead. You weren't sure that I was turning my clocks ahead. So there we go. So that's why a little late start today, but that's all right. We're here now. We're ready to break down the Sunday card. We've got a huge slate. Let's start with the first game, and it is a good one. These two teams have played each other a lot lately, it seems. And, we talked they played on a Sunday, I know, earlier this year. Carolina, Pittsburgh. And now here they are again, once again, head to head. We've got Pittsburgh, Penguins, Carolina Hurricanes, Pittsburgh, minus 145 home favorites in this game. The total right now sitting at 6 across the board. Just on paper, I like the way this sets up for Pittsburgh. Rest advantage, revenge spot for them. They lost the most recent meeting head-to-head against the Carolina Hurricanes. So you'd think there's going to be definitely some much talked about incentive to try to get back in the win column here against Carolina after losing the previous meeting. Pittsburgh, they had a tough loss to Florida where they got behind early, made a valiant effort to come back but fell short. But they did make amends and bounce back following that loss to Florida with a 5-2 win against Vegas. We'll see if they can keep it going here today against Carolina, who've won 4 straight, against Pittsburgh, of course, in overtime, that game that I mentioned, Seattle, Colorado, and Philly for Carolina in their last 4 victories. But back-to-back spot, obviously, here for the Hurricanes, also playing their 3rd game in 4 days. This is only the 3rd game for the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 days. So what a contrast this is. 3-4 for Carolina, 3-6 for the Pittsburgh Penguins in this one. I like Pittsburgh a little bit here. I was hoping for a little better price. I mean, minus 135, minus 140, is what we're looking at here right now with the Penguins as home favorites. But, I like the way it sets up for them. Carolina having played the Flyers yesterday, 3-1. They defeated Philadelphia. It wasn't as easy a game for them as you would think. Philadelphia hung around for a long time in that game. But what I like for the Penguins is, Dumoulin is obviously the main guy still out, or potentially out for this game. He had actually gone from November until the last game against Vegas, not missing a single game. But he did not play Friday night against Vegas due to an illness. We're not sure yet if he's going to be cleared to return to the lineup and be on that blue line for the Penguins. And he's obviously one of their better defensemen as well. So that would be a minor concern. But definitely this does set up nicely for Pittsburgh. I lean Pittsburgh. hoping for a better price than this, but I would only look toward the Penguins here. I really do think they're sitting in a pretty good spot, pretty good situation here. Rest advantage. Carolina on a back-to-back. Pittsburgh blew a third period lead the last time they played Carolina on the road. I think Penguins with a decent chance here to maybe get the victory here. So definitely I would lean Penguins here. Vito, what do you think? Carolina, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, I'm checking in a moment where the money at going, and it's like 60% money on Pittsburgh, and it little makes sense because Canes are still a very great team, so they obviously stand a chance to win this game. And yes, of course, the spot it favors Pittsburgh here. I mean, Pittsburgh is more rested team. Canes are playing the third game in 4 days. Also, actually, both meetings, Pens lost to Pittsburgh Canes this year, so it's 0-2 in series. They are division rival games. This should be the game that Pens should win. But I mean, also, as I said, Canes, they're also a very decent team. I mean, they will have a rest after this game, like 2 or 3 day rest. So I also think they will show up. But obviously, yeah, I also lead Pittsburgh in this spot because it's a better, they're more rested team. I also think that now when the season is coming more to an end, we're gonna see this fatigue. Sometimes, also teams kind of are saving themselves also for playoffs. Definitely the top teams sometimes. So yeah, I think Pens can get a victory here today, but I don't have wagers on this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just -1. Like, this is still a damn good Carolina Hurricanes team. And usually when they're an underdog, I'm not in a rush to bet against them. But I do think this sets up very nicely here for Pittsburgh in this game. And Tristan Jarry is confirmed in net, I would assume. Now, it's not confirmed yet for Carolina. It should be before we end the show because this game is like in 40 minutes from now. But I would assume this is going to be Antti Ranta for Carolina today after Frederik Andersen got the start, made his return against the Flyers yesterday. So that is what I would expect is Ranta to be in net here for Carolina today.
If you let me how the game I think will go, definitely Canes will try to hold the Pittsburgh without scoring, in the first period, because Canes usually play good first period. It's hard to score against Canes in first period, guys. They're usually not allowing goals there. So that's what they will try to do. So if they will succeed on that, the game definitely actually will go under, I think. But obviously, if there will be some goals, the game will open up.
Exactly. This is a live betting. Like, to me, I wouldn't want the over in this game pregame. I'd want to see how it starts. Carolina's really taken their time getting into a game. They're not necessarily been going full bore and flying out of the gate lately. Look at the Seattle game. It took them a while to warm up. The Colorado game, that was a very, very low event game. Lots of, tight checking, more of a defensive approach. Same against Philly yesterday. It's not like Carolina was really, really coming in waves and all over the Flyers in the offensive zone. And again, they seem to be more taking that approach of, we got to really ramp up a playoff type mentality with our style of play. And obviously that is defense first at the moment. It also explains why Carolina's gone 5 straight games under the total. Carolina on a 5-0 under run in their last 5 games. Something to keep in mind as they get ready to play Pittsburgh in this early Sunday afternoon matinee affair. All right. I'm looking forward to this. You know it. Outdoor game, Heritage Classic, Tim Hortons Field, my hometown. I'm so proud to say that. Hamilton, Ontario. Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres. We've got Toronto -290, -300 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. That's a high total for an outdoor game. I know just on off the top of my head, Vito, I have not seen many outdoor games where we've seen a total of 6.5. And it's just because you've got the Leafs, who are just an offensive juggernaut, especially right now. And you've got the Buffalo Sabres, who, think of them as not exactly a shutdown team defensively either. So that is something to keep in mind. However, the last meeting did stay under this 6.5 total when it was 5-1 Buffalo in the recent meeting between these two teams in Toronto. It'll be their first head-to-head meeting since then. Fascinating to see how this one unfolds, obviously. We've got certainly the Toronto Maple Leafs heavily favored. You get why that is, but it still is a massive number here in this spot. I do think Toronto wins this game. You look at how this sets up for them. They're off that loss against the Arizona Coyotes the other night. Frustrating loss, the game where, they didn't get that penalty call on Austin Matthews was livid with the referee, basically didn't have to call that penalty late in the game, which would have and probably the goal doesn't happen if Jacob Chikrin gets called there for that penalty. But nevertheless, Arizona wins just seconds later. They win in overtime. Regardless of what you thought of the penalty, the non-call, and it was a brutal non-call, terrible miss by the referee in overtime in that game. But having said all that, you can't spot a team a 2-0 lead in the first 10 minutes like Toronto did against Arizona. And you can't have shaky goaltending either from Peter Mrazek. Now, here's the interesting situation. Jack Campbell is out with a rib injury for the Leafs. We're not going to see him for a couple of weeks. This young kid that they called up from the minors, Shalgren, that's how you pronounce his name. He came into the game against the Arizona Coyotes, replacing Mrazek. And to be quite honest with you, he played pretty well. You know, I thought he played actually more than pretty well. He was very good, I thought. But Sheldon Keefe says, you know what? Jack is going to be out for a period of time. We brought in Peter Mrazek to be a 1A, 1B complement goalie with Jack Campbell. We thought he was capable and talented enough to be that kind of goalie for us. We're not going to bail on him after that bad game against Arizona. We're sticking with him. He's going to be in net today. And I think for him, Vito, you talk about motivation. You should always be motivated to play well and win. For Peter Mrazek, this is a huge game for him. He needs to step up. Simple as that. You know, the coach is basically giving you another shot here. You had a terrible game the other night, and he was fidgety. He was nervous. He was fumbling the puck left and right. He was off his angles. He was down early when the shot was coming in from the point, the goal that chased him from the game. He was down early. They gave up way too much of the top of the net, and it was an easy goal to score, in my opinion. You just beat him upstairs. So Mrazek has to show up here today. It's simple as that. He's getting a big opportunity here to basically reclaim a firm grasp on this position while Jack Campbell remains out due to that rib injury. So if he wants to maintain his hold on that position, he's got to play well today. That's all there is to it. So it's a big game for him. I think it's a big game for this Leafs team. They've got to try to step things up a little bit defensively. What are you going to do? You're going to win 5-4 games the rest of the season? You know, into the playoffs, you're going to try to win these 6-5, 7-6 games, and you're going to be playing Tampa and Florida. You know, you're playing games in the playoffs against teams. You're going to be playing one of those teams, Lightning or the Panthers, if you're the Leafs in the first round. And you are going to have to somehow defend those teams. Are you just going to take the tact of, hey, we're going to score 8 and maybe we'll hold them to 6 or 7? You know, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now with this Leaf team, that they're just almost resigned to say, you know what, fuck it with the defense. Let's just try to win games by outscoring the other team. You know, that's basically what they've been doing for a long period of time. So did they continue these track meets? I mean, look at these scores: 10-7, 5-3, 5-1, 6-4, 5-4, 6-4, 5-4. I mean, those are the final scores in recent Toronto games. So it's been just one track meet after another, one goal fest after another. At some point, don't you have to really tidy it up, tighten it up a little bit? This could be the spot. I'm not involved in this game either way, side or total. I lean Toronto, maybe a first period puck line if you want to get there with the Leafs, because I think the start is imperative for them. They can't fall behind 2-0. And I think the start they realized was terrible the other night against Arizona. So I think they know they've got to get off to a good start. If I were to bet anything, it would be -0.5, +115, Toronto in the first period on the puck line. That would be what I'd look at. There's really not much value either way. I mean, -175 in regulation with the Leafs. I'm not touching that. -1.5, -115 on the full game puck line. I don't love that, especially in an outdoor game. So Toronto, maybe first period puck line is about as close as I'd get to betting something side or total. I can't bet a Toronto under right now, but I feel like this could be a spot where it does stay under. You've got Toronto needing to tighten it up. Mrazek needs to save face and have a big day, a big game after what happened the other night. And the last thing I want to mention, the wind conditions. It's going to be 27, 30-mile-per-hour winds at puck drop here at Tim Hortons Field for this game. So the puck's going to be, when you're trying to make a pass and the wind, and I've been in that stadium, it is a wind tunnel. The wind just whips around and swirls right through that stadium. It's almost like a crosswind, if you will. So good luck making tape-to-tape passes, in my opinion, in this game. Good luck with that. If it's going to be windy to that degree, 27-mile-per-hour winds is the current forecast at 4 p.m. Eastern time for the wind. It's going to be difficult to make tape-to-tape passes. The puck's going to be just, taken off. You think you're going to hit your line mate in stride with a great pass, and then all of a sudden there's the puck being just taken off the stick by the wind. So you got to worry about that here a little bit in this game. So it may not be easy for the offenses to get revved up in this game based on the more than moderate wind. We're looking at gusty winds here for this game, at least certainly in the first or second period. I think this, based on what I'm seeing, Vito, the third period, they're expecting the winds to taper down a little bit. But I think early in this game, first period and the second period, the winds are going to be pretty heavy. A lot of wind gusts early in this game here this afternoon in Hamilton. So, the wind, and based on what Toronto, I think, is going to try to do in this game, they've got to try to somehow tighten it up. Maybe they can't. Maybe they just won't until they get an upgrade on the blue line or until they get Jake Muzzin back, who's one of their better shutdown defensemen. But they've got to try to play some defense. Maybe this is the spot for it, and certainly the wind might lead this to be a little bit lower scoring as well. So I can't bet a Toronto under, but crazy as it is to say, I would lean under in this game, 6.5 with the Leafs and the Sabres. And Toronto first period puck line is probably the best side that I like. All right, Vito, I've been going on for 5 minutes about this game. What do you think here? Hamilton, Ontario, Tim Hortons Field, Heritage Classic, Leafs Sabres.
Yeah, well, talking about that, this outdoor game is very interesting, and wind definitely will impact the game, I think. Talking about the temperature, actually, I think it's 25 degrees now in Hamilton, so that's the same amount that actually is kept on the ice for the players. They also play like on 25 degrees approximately. Just the air in the rink, it's like to 50 degrees, whereas the people sitting. So that's the only difference in outdoor game. It's still going to be 25 degrees also upstairs. Anyways, and about the game, I think Buffalo are actually pretty happy to see, first of all, Mrazek in the net. Second of all, that they need to play Leafs, because as I've said many times, Leafs are not the hardest team to play against. They are talented, like players like Nylander. But if you watch how Nylander plays defensively, man, that's terrible. He doesn't block the shots, man. He puts out his leg like this, and they're like that's
it's so true, Vito. It is. You're right.
Yeah, man, those players. That's why he didn't have a contract before. Nowhere. Because there is some issues with those guys, and those are too many guys in that team. You can't have 2-3 lines play with players like those. You need Lucic, man. You need some Niederreiter, Stahl, Jordan Fast. You need those guys. So that's the problem with Leafs at the moment. So yeah, 4 goals, that's still totally normal from that team if you have those guys blocking the shots. They don't block the shots, and that's also this. And Mrazek is just losing the net constantly all his career. He feels like he doesn't know where's the net behind him. He looks like he's out of the position many times. That's the problem for him. Hopefully he steps up maybe here today. So that's the problem for the Leafs. Every team likes to play against them. So in this game, only because it's an outdoor game, maybe I don't want to go with over. Otherwise, obviously, if this would be an inside game, I would hammer over. But I'm staying just away here. Sabres also, I think, will show up to this game. Toronto also will show up to this game. It's an outdoor game. Don't want to really place any bets, and I just want to maybe watch this game. Maybe if I watch first period, maybe something interesting happens in the rest of the game. I can place a wager just for the fun. But yeah, I think these games are made for watching most of the times, not betting. There's different games you can bet at. So that's my take on this game.
That's right. That's why that's exactly how I feel about it. Now the Tampa-Nashville outdoor game. I did have an opinion on that. I did like Nashville as a dog. I just thought they were getting a big price, and they didn't win the game, but I thought they gave a good enough effort to win. They only lost 3-2. I thought it was plus 150 underdog. The team lost 3-2. It's still not a terrible bet. It's not the result you wanted, but not every loss is a bad bet. That's very important that bettors and handicappers realize that just because you lose a bet, it doesn't automatically equal that it was a bad bet. All right. You have to separate the losses that were bad bets from the losses that were good bets, because you will find losses that were good bets where you had a good side. You had you had a team that was right in the game or had a lead and lost it late or whatever the case. Like for me, I'll give you an example of a loss that was a bad bet. The LA Kings last night. That was a bad bet. That was a terrible bet. There's no way you can go about it saying, "Oh, that was unfortunate, kind of a bad break." No, it was a bad bet, bad side, wrong side. The LA Kings last night against San Jose. But it would have been Good. If the Rangers had blown that game to the Dallas Stars last night, or it was actually a good bet, but a tough result. Arizona for me.
Yeah.
I'll use that as an example. Last night, Arizona Coyotes. Obviously, it lost the full game money line, but it wasn't a bad bet. 3-2 game. I thought they played relatively well against the Bruins. They had a chance to tie it late. So that was a loss, but I thought that was a good bet still, even though it lost. The LA Kings, that lost. That was a bad bet because it was just over in the first period, essentially.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think you just have to read the games correctly, and be happy about that. Even if you don't guess them correctly, you just need to be. Even if you didn't bet the game, you have to be happy about that. That even that team wins, you don't need to think that like, oh, the team won, I didn't bet them, and that's bad. I hope they lose. You need to think that, oh, I was thinking correctly. That team won, so I'm thinking correctly. I'm reading the board nice. And I think when you read the board, then you are also succeeding. Yeah, at the moment, yeah, I also played Kings yesterday. I mean, they were banged up, right? I mean, they were missing some top guys, and I guess that was the issue. Also, I mean, Peterson, something wrong with that guy, maybe. So, yeah, but credit to Sharks. I mean, 5-0 victory and a bad bet. Yeah, not a bad beat, but bad bet.
That's exactly what it was. Bad bet on the LA Kings last night for sure. All right, Nashville, Minnesota. Let's make some good bets on this game. Nashville Predators, Minnesota Wild, Minnesota minus 160, home favorites, 6 the total here, shaded to the over. I like over the total. I know Alex B. Smith in our Ice Guys DM on Twitter sent along that his best bet today is going to be first period over, minus, I believe, 140 in this game, Nashville, Minnesota. So Alex likes the first period over. I like the full game over. Minnesota overs at home. I'm going to say it till I'm sick of saying it. How many? I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it because if you haven't heard it by now from me, you're obviously new to the show. So maybe I should say it in case we do have somebody that's just watching for the first time. But you know me, Minnesota overs at home. What is it now? 18-5, 19-5. I know it's something like that to the over at home. I'm just going to stop right there with the analysis. We know Minnesota can score. We know they give up goals, though. Kakin and Talbot doesn't matter right now. The defense is still capable of giving up goals. We've seen that. Wild, I think, certainly have the scheduling advantage. Nashville played a barn burner with the St. Louis Blues yesterday afternoon. What a game that was early on Saturday afternoon. The Blues get the victory on the road in Nashville. They hang on to win at the end. So it's back-to-back for Nashville. Minnesota's got the rest advantage. Certainly it's an edge for Minnesota situationally. Am I going to lay minus 160, though, with this team right now? No. But I'm not taking Nashville either. I'm just going to look for goals. Give me over the total here in this one. Vito, Predators, Wild.
Yeah, I'm here. All right. Yeah, talking about the rest advantage. Actually, I was checking just now. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, if you look like last games, it's rest advantage for Wild. But if you look like last week, Wild played 4 games last week. 2 of them were on the road. Preds only played 2 games last week. Yep. And yeah, this week, now the Preds are playing actually the 4th game, and this is the 3rd game in 4 days. And also, this is a back-to-back. So a pretty tough spot, obviously. No doubt about that. But for the Wild, again, 4th game this week. So 2 weeks in a row, but 4 games. So this is the 8th game for them in 14 days. And also the 3rd game in 4 days. So you might expect also some sloppy defense from Wild side, I think, here. So I think, yeah, over is the play in this game. Haven't placed my wager yet. But yeah, since I see that Preds are on the back-to-back, they will play Rittich. And I think Wild are also still on the tough schedule here. I think both teams find the back of the net here and the play is over. So that I will end up playing that. We'll check now the odds and everything.
All right, liking the over here in this one with the Predators and the Wild as well. Vito and I both liking goals in this one. All right, next up, we've got Vegas and Columbus. Golden Knights, Blue Jackets. Vegas minus 165 to minus 170. Road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Been a very rough road trip, clearly, for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we talked about this. It's hard to really, give this team so much blame, I guess you could say, or really ridicule them too much for the struggles they've had, losing 3 in a row. They've lost all 3 games on this road trip so far. 2-1 to Philadelphia, 3-1 to Buffalo, 5-2 to Pittsburgh, the other night. They actually didn't play that bad against Pittsburgh. They got behind 2-0. They actually scored twice to tie it up. But then in the third period, Pittsburgh pretty much took over, and they were really peppering the Vegas net, and Logan Thompson, the goalie, who was in that night, and they ended up taking over in the third and getting the 5-2 victory there against the Pittsburgh Penguins. As far as Vegas goes, by the way, I should have mentioned the goalies, Nashville, Minnesota. It's probably going to be Talbot and Riddick. Neither confirmed, but both of those guys are projected. Riddick, of course, because Saros started yesterday for Nashville. Talbot projected for Minnesota. But not confirmed yet. As far as this game, it's Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus, who are coming off a nice 3-2 shootout win against the Minnesota Wild on Friday night, snapping a 4-game losing streak for the Jackets. And a nice bounce back from them with that 3-2 victory. And he was pretty good in that game, Merzlikins. We'll tip the cap to him, your fellow countryman there, Vito. He played well Friday night in a victory for the Columbus Blue Jackets there. So we'll see if he can keep it rolling today against Vegas. Vegas has been struggling to score. We know that. Just 4 goals in the 3 games combined on this road trip so far during the 3 losses. So definitely not been easy for them to find the back of the net. Can they do it today? We did see, obviously, Merzlikins and that Columbus defense play a better game than they often do, but man, they're missing so much firepower, Vegas, right now. I mean, Max Pacioretty now is once again questionable because he left the game against Pittsburgh on Friday night with an injury. It was during the second period. He didn't come back, and now he's questionable for this game against Columbus. And Peter DeBoer saying it's a day-to-day situation now for Pacioretty. And you add that to Robin Lehner still being sidelined, the goaltender. Riley Smith, one of the key forwards in that second line that's been so good with Marchessault and Carlson. Riley Smith out, Brett Howden, good depth forward out. You're still missing 2 of your best defensemen, especially defensively, with Braden McNabb out and Alec Martinez out. So it's just a lot of key personnel missing right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. Columbus, though, is starting to have some guys banged up, though, too. Boone Jenner is on IR. That's a big loss. Boone Jenner, week to week now with a back injury. The guy has 44 points this year in 59 games for Columbus, 23 goals, 21 assists now out of your lineup without Boone Jenner now for Columbus. And Patrick Laine was a little bit banged up, too. He's got a knee problem. Laine's had an issue with this knee for years. He's had surgery on it multiple times. He re-injured that knee Friday night against Minnesota, but they say it's just a minor injury, so minor that it's probably not going to prevent him from missing time. He's expected to play tonight against Vegas, which is great news because obviously we know Laine has been one of the machine-like catalysts for Columbus offensively. 42 points in 40 games for him this season. Voracek, by the way, for the Jackets, also out, and Justin Danforth and also out too. And look, he's actually in limited duty lately. He's actually played pretty solid for the Jackets, Danforth, but Voracek out as well, and that's 43 points in 57 games out of your lineup. 40 of those assists of those 43 points. So Voracek also out for the Jackets. So this is just one of those games. It's all over the place with both of these teams. They got basically mash unit lineups right now. Both of these teams, both of them dealing with key injuries, but obviously a lot more on the Vegas side. So probably a pass, to be quite honest with you. I think if Vegas is going to win a game in this road trip, this could be it. Especially, they played Pittsburgh. They played, I shouldn't say they played Buffalo and Philly like they're good. They're not. Columbus is better than those two teams. It just feels like Vegas is due to win one of these road games. This is probably the spot to do it. They play Winnipeg next, which, isn't going to be easy. The Jets are battling for their playoff lives. I don't know. I get a sense Vegas wins, but I'm not laying minus 165. I don't even love regulation with a team that's having trouble offensively right now, like the Golden Knights are. Vito, what do you think here of this one? Vegas, Columbus.
Yeah, well, it's hard to disagree with you. And, talking about this game, Vegas, they're putting up some chances. I played on them against the Flyers, and then they lost even against the Sabres. And yes, the Sabres looks like was the play in that game. They really were more motivated to beat one Eichel, not the Vegas team. I think the Sabres just wanted to beat Eichel, and they managed to do that, And for the Vegas, and then they lost to Pittsburgh. Now they have lost 3 on this road trip. They play, I guess, Columbus today. Then they play Jets, I think. and they're gonna finish this road trip. So Jets are rolling at the moment, I would say. So that will be a hard game to win for Vegas. This could be the only game they can win on this road trip, but I'm not gambling on this one as well. Since first of all, I know that if Elvis Merzlikins is hot, then it will be hard to beat that goalie. These kind of goalies, they are like that. Once he's cold, man, and he's letting in the goals. Now he's hot, he's playing well. This is a Vegas team. They have a big prestige in league, so I think Elvis also will show up here today against the Vegas. And we know that Vegas can really actually put the puck in the net. I mean, and that sometimes happens with teams. And about the Eichel, I mean, guys, yeah, he's not scoring at the moment. I don't think that means he's not skilled anymore or something. How can you guys? He hasn't been skating for 1 year or more, right? 1 year or more even. So no, none of the player can get back in the game and start to score goals straight away and get points. I mean, that's just just not possible. I think. I think for the Eichel, if he will get back to the playoffs in his best shape, that would be great. But I don't think that even can happen. I don't think maybe they don't make even the playoffs. So Canucks are right there behind the Vegas. So yeah, Vegas definitely are due to win this game since they really can fall out of the playoffs. I just don't see who's getting the goals. I mean, yeah, Marshall is still there. Carlson is still there. Uh, Eichel, but he's not scoring at the moment. And who is there? I mean, Smith is out, I think, as well, right? Mark, yeah, and then Pacioretty maybe be out. Those are all the scorers. They look like kind of lost, to be honest, without Mark Stone in the lineup. And this
Stone's
much,
out, Pacioretty's maybe, and Riley Smith is still out. So it's a lot up front that are missing. Like Smith, Pacioretty, and Stone, Vito, you can make a case that is their three best forwards right
yeah,
there. Those three guys.
yeah. So that's
Tough to
a
replace.
top guys missing. Those are three guys. It's not like it's one or two guys. Those are three guys. Then you have to play Amadeo, guys like Amadeo and Roy, and who else is there? Well, they are still good guys. Kolesher, who else is there? I mean, they are still players. I mean, I respect every player in the league who plays in an NHL because this is the best league in the world. But there is a difference between those guys. So it's hard to bet here, Vegas, because maybe I always shut them like one or two goals. And yeah, from the Columbus, there's still guys like Bjorkstrand in lineup who's been scoring. I mean, there's Line. I was checking just now. So yeah, they also will find the back of the net. Hopefully, well, hard to predict this game. I mean, Vegas are due to win here, but the odds are just terrible. So just stay away from me here.
All right, it's a stay away for Vito here with the Golden Knights and the Jackets. Like I say, I kind of lean Knights. I think it might be one of their spot to maybe step up and win, but I'm not going to take them. They're just too many guys, too many key pieces of this team out. Up front, two of their better blue liners. Like I said, Smith, Pacioretty, and Stone, certainly three of, if not their three best forwards. And it's been tough. 4 goals in the first 3 games of this road trip for Vegas. Not great from an offensive perspective. On this trip so far. All right, next up, Winnipeg, St. Louis. We've got the St. Louis Blues minus 130, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. The Blues, a track meet yesterday. Holy shit, with the Nashville Predators. My goodness, yesterday. What a game that turned out to be in the early Saturday afternoon hours yesterday. Back and forth it went. St. Louis got, I think it was a 3-0 lead. Nashville came back, tied it. St. Louis took the lead. Nashville tied it again. And then St. Louis finally pulled away for good in the third period with 3 goals to win 7-4 over Nashville yesterday. I guess the Blues have found their offense again. Sure looks that way. Boys, 13 goals in the last 2 games. And, hockey is cyclical. There's ebbs and flows to every team in the regular season. There's peaks and valleys with every team in the regular season. And right now, here's St. Louis heating up again, right? They had that little struggle. 4 games in a row, they lost to the Rangers, Islanders, Devils, and Senators. And after that Ottawa loss, I'm like, what's wrong with St. Louis? And they've turned around and they've beaten, 2 pretty good teams, the Rangers and the Predators, here in back-to-back games. And their offense is just rolling again. 13 goals. They might keep the offense going here as well because the Jets just continue to have trouble keeping the puck out of their own net. They kept the puck out of the net for 1 game against New Jersey, where that young kid, Eric Comrie, actually played very well that night for the Winnipeg Jets. It's a good point, Ted. Giving up 38 shots to the Islanders in their last game, that 5-2 loss, 37 shots, that's terrifying. You're right. If they're giving up 37 shots to that team, which is no offensive machine to begin with, that's trouble. for Winnipeg. And look, they played better the last couple of games. They had nice wins against the Lightning and the Devils earlier this week, but they won those games because, look, they outscored Tampa. They didn't really shut them down. Comrie was just phenomenal, I thought, against New Jersey, but they still gave up a bunch of chances. New Jersey just couldn't finish. And then all those chances they gave up to New Jersey, where Comrie was good, Devils just couldn't find that finishing touch. The Islanders made Winnipeg pay for that, getting the 5 goals against them the other night. So Dumoulin, by the way, is going to be back for Pittsburgh today. So there you go. Big return for them on the blue line against Carolina. So that's confirmed. But yeah, getting back to Winnipeg, St. Louis, Jets struggling defensively. Hellebuck in net, confirmed. I keep waiting for Connor Hellebuck to be back on track and look like that Vezina Trophy form, and he's far away from that. He is eons away from being a Vezina Trophy caliber goalie right now. He has now given up 4 goals or more in 6 straight starts. Another 4 spot given up to the Islanders on Friday night. 4 spot to Tampa, a 4 spot to the Rangers, a 4 spot to Dallas, a 4 spot to Montreal, 6 to Colorado. This has been a brutal stretch, dreadful for Connor Hellebuck. There's nothing else to say. He hasn't been good enough. He's been spitting out rebounds right into the just terrible rebound control lately, flipping and flopping like a fish the other night in the net on a couple of those New York Islanders goals. He's just not got his confidence. He's not square to the shooter. He's given up rebounds. He's just not a confident goalie right now. And that's trouble for Winnipeg because they need him to be good. For the Blues, we'll see who's in net here for this one. But obviously, Ville Husso was in against Nashville, gave up 4 goals, but boy, when he needed to be good in the third period, he was. That's a sign of a good goalie. He didn't have his best game, especially early, but third period, he really played well to allow St. Louis to get that win. But it is back-to-back. We could see Jordan Binnington now here with this being a back-to-back, and I'm still not someone that's totally sold on Binnington either going into this game. So you kind of tell where I'm going. I'm kind of leaning over 6 in this game with the Blues and the Jets. Binnington, he was better a little bit against Ottawa, but still gave up 3 goals. He gave up 2 to the Islanders. He shut out Chicago. So yeah, he's been a little bit better. He gave up the 1 goal against Philly. 4 starts in a row, he's given up 3 or less, total of 6 goals in his last 4 starts that he's allowed. But he's playing a Winnipeg team. The one thing they do have is the ability to score. The firepower up front with Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and company. It'll be a challenge, I think, for Binnington today. It's a tough one. I'd lean Jets, but man, I don't trust Hellebuck right now. I don't. I lean Jets. They're the rested team. They played Friday night. They've got the rest advantage. St. Louis played yesterday. It's a desperate situation for Winnipeg. They've got to bear down and get 2 points here. You can't continue to fall further back in the playoff race. I would only look Winnipeg at the plus price, but I'm scared to do it with the way their defense is struggling and with the way Connor Hellebuck has totally lost his confidence right now. So I think the over is probably my stronger opinion when it comes to this game. What do you think here, Vito? Winnipeg, St. Louis.
Well, and then you mentioned that I definitely would lean over in this game. We know that these both clubs can play high-scoring games. They can play low-scoring games. And I think we just have to watch on which kind of a play they are on. And as you mentioned, there's up and downs. And now we have seen that the Blues team, they have found their scoring last 2 games. And we know that for the Winnipeg, the defense is not their best at the moment, and Hellebuck has been struggling. So that means I think Blues definitely find the back of the net here today. 3-4 goals from Blues I can see actually today. And from the Jets side, also offense is generating a lot of chances with Nicolas Jalers back in lineup. That guy is also running like crazy around. So he with Honor there as well, and there's Stastny, Scheifele, also many guys who can score. It's going to be Binnington. He's been better a little bit lately, but, this is going to be Jets team with many good forwards. So, and the power plays also are pretty good for both teams. And both the teams have been also on tough schedule. Jets after the All-Star break has played very many games, and this is a 3rd game in 4 days for them. And for the Blues, this is also the 3rd game in 4 days, also a back-to-back here for the Blues. So yeah, only way how to play this one. For me it's over, because if I think that I want to let the Jets, that will be me. I can see the Jets are leading like 3-1. And then I check the score in next period, and it's 4-3 Blues, and that's already in nowhere. I can see one team definitely coming back in this game if it's needed. If one team gets the lead, other team definitely gets back few here. So yeah, give me over 6 in this game. Also, this is the last fourth meeting, I think, for these division rivals. First two were won by Blues, and the last one were won by Jets 4-1. So this is the fourth one, and the last one. Those all meetings have gone under, but I have a feel for this one that this should go over this time.
All right, looking like maybe the over here for the Jets and the Blues. Vito and I both going in that direction here, looking for some goals potentially with the Jets and the Blues in this one. All right, next up we've got Montreal and Philadelphia. Canadiens, Flyers. Pretty much two teams playing for exercise here. Philadelphia minus 150 home favorites. The total 6 across the board. Right away when I see this kind of a matchup late in the season, Vito, or second half of the season, two teams clearly not going to the playoffs, I look for goals. Look at Chicago and Ottawa last night. That was a goal fest. Two teams out of the playoffs. They just up and down the ice, traded goals, traded chances. Not a lot of defensive intensity. Not a lot of blocked shots. Who the fuck wants to block a shot when you're 20 points out of the playoffs? Nobody, right? That's I'm sure a hockey player has got that kind of mentality, right? Why would I block a shot and risk injury when we're 15 points out of the playoffs or something? Yeah.
Some guys don't block it even if they're in playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Like William Nylander. Yeah. Yeah. or he does the flamingo to try to block the shot. Yeah. But nevertheless, yeah. So I like goals here. Montreal and Phil. Now Carter Hart at home he seems to be playing better lately, and a lot of his good games are at home, and he's the starter tonight in net for the Philadelphia Flyers in this game after Martin Jones got the start. Martin Jones actually didn't play that terrible. For Martin Jones standards, he wasn't that bad yesterday against Carolina. So when I look at this game here, I think we're going to see goals both ways. Even if Hart plays well, I like this Montreal team offensively right now. And under Marty St. Louis, like we've seen Cole Caulfield get his swagger back. Josh Anderson's been good. Suzuki is piling up the points right now. I think Suzuki over 1.5 points is a good look in this game. Philadelphia plays hard. Say what you will about how they're struggling to win games. They've been in a lot of games lately right there, and they just can't find a way to win. Again, yesterday, that was the case against Carolina. But they are playing hard, and you are still seeing them try to give you an honest effort and try to win these remaining games. I'd expect them to find the back of the net too. I know offensively it's a little bit more up and down for Philadelphia. They're not exactly a terrific offensive team. There's some games they'll find the back of the net, like against Florida, they scored 3, and then they'll only score 2 against Vegas and only score 1 against Carolina yesterday. But you get them against these teams that are out of the playoffs here, like a Chicago last weekend, and they on home ice, and they scored 4 goals in that game, Philly. So I think they're capable, and that's what this game fits into, that Philly-Chicago game we saw last Saturday, where it was pretty wide open, 2 teams out of the playoffs, Philly at home, they scored 4 goals, they won the game 4-3. I think we get a 4-3 type of game here. I like the over here with the Canadiens and the Flyers. And it's certainly, look, Caden Primo's not been good. Now, I'm hearing that they've called him back up. They think that he's probably going to be in net because Montembeault played last night against Seattle, that game that went to a shootout. Primo recalled from the AHL, and they have to go with Primo here on a back-to-back because Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar, who came onto the scene for Montreal, played so well before that brutal injury now that's kept him out indefinitely. And now we've got Primo on a terrible run. 10 NHL games, Vito, 0-8, 5.35 goals against average, 853 save percentage. Those are the numbers in 10 NHL games this year for Caden Primo for Montreal. So if we see him in net, that's the red light district as far as I'm concerned. The red light is just beckoning to be turned on if indeed Caden Primo is in net tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, Flyers team total is actually not a bad way to go. I actually think Montreal at the price is great value, but I don't know if I can pull the trigger with Primo because his numbers are that bad. And Philly at home, actually, sometimes they can win these type of games. This is a winnable game for Philly. This feels like the Chicago game last week. Winnable game for Philly. It wouldn't shock me to see them win the game as well. Both teams played yesterday, but the Flyers played in the afternoon against Carolina. Montreal played at night against Seattle, and both teams have to travel to Philly. for this game. So slight advantage for Philly just because they played earlier in the day yesterday. But I like over 6. Lean Montreal, but I don't think I'm going to bet that. Montreal plus 130. I think I'll pass on that. Just lean to Montreal. I will bet over the total, though, over 6 here. Canadiens, Flyers. Vito, what do you think? Montreal, Philly.
Yeah, well, from the rest, I think Montreal are on a back-to-back, but it's only a third game this week. They had pretty good rest. Let's see how they do today.
Coming off a road trip. Weird schedule, Vito, because they come off the road trip. You know, they were out west, right? Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. Then they come home for one game against Seattle. And then the NHL's putting these guys back on the road the very next night in Philadelphia. That's pretty rough, in my opinion, for Montreal.
Could agree with you there, definitely. Yeah, for the Philly, also the third game, right, in 4 days. Well, Caden Primo obviously is the one thing for Montreal, and you told that Flyers have some guys in offense. I mean, they have capable guys who can put the puck in the net. Like the first line looks very good, like Giroux, Brassard, and Atkinson. You know, that we have like Konechny. We have, Van Riemsdyk and Kevin Hayes is back in lineup as well now. Farabee. All of those guys used to be great players. You know, they just somehow don't care this season. I mean, what the Flyers got Ryan Ellis in the summer, right, in the trade. Also, that guy is injured for them. Played only 4 games. Sean Couture. Sean Couture. That's also a very great guy, injured. You know, those are 2 great guys. And yeah, Philly kind of out of the race. I mean, Philly is not a bad team. I mean, overall, well, they just somehow don't care. They somehow let the games blow away. They're totally in the last place. I don't think they're that bad. I think they should be a little bit higher than that, to be honest. I don't disrespect Philly so much. But yeah, looks like they just don't care. They will be sellers at the trade deadline. I mean, yeah, that's the reason why the players should put up some goals. I think, you know, these both teams coming to the trade deadline. I mean, they want to maybe get traded to some Stanley Cup contenders. I think this is a showcase game here. Let's go over 6 in this game.
All right, liking the over as well here with the Canadiens
Well,
and the Flyers.
let me add quickly with Habs. I played yesterday also the over 6 with Kraken. It cashed very late. Well, kind of worried if Canadiens find me the scoring, to be honest, maybe here, because yesterday they couldn't find the scoring against Kraken. Didn't watch the game so much, Ian, about the scoring chances. So anything, didn't watch the game. I don't know if they were so big pressure from Canadiens. But yeah,
they did in the third period, but in the first 2 periods, Seattle kept them to the outside pretty well. Third period, they were better. Yeah, much better.
Yeah, and they scored only very late to tie it, you know. So a little bit worried if Canadiens gives me the scoring. Not sure if I'm hammering straight away over. Maybe I do some little bit more research. I will tweet it out, okay? But yeah, I think Flyers maybe could also win this game, to be honest.
Yeah, and by the way, Montreal was down 2-1 after the first period. I thought they had a good first period. They took the play to Seattle. Grubauer was pretty good, actually. It was one of his better games for Seattle last night in net. I think Montreal can chip in. I think Montreal can score some goals here tonight, in my opinion.
Against the Flyers, to be honest, the D are very cold. I mean, those guys like Provorov.
Yeah.
They're like top D, and I'm watching him on the blue line. He's not that good, to be honest. So yeah, I think Canadiens should find the scoring. So the game, as I said before, I think the over could be a play since Flyers actually are very juiced, as I see.
Yeah, and Provorov, they said it on the ABC broadcast yesterday of the Hurricanes and the Flyers game with Sean McDonough and Ray Ferraro. They both said it that he's had a tough year, Provorov. He's probably a better player than he's been this year, but the whole situation's bad. The team's bad. His play has suffered as a result. They talked about Ryan Ellis. They missed that guy. And since Ryan Ellis has been out for the Philadelphia Flyers, it's kind of gone with, and we've seen his play decline, Provorov, really ever since Ryan Ellis got injured. That was a big deal that he got hurt for the Philadelphia Flyers. That's
a bad beat.
Yeah, that has been part of it for sure. And but just part of a season that's been dreadful for Philadelphia all the way around, no question. A season to forget for them, and obviously for Montreal too. They've obviously, everything's gone wrong for both of these teams this year, which is why I think we'll see a loose atmosphere tonight. Just go out there, have fun, score some goals, make over bettors like Vito and I very, very happy. Just go out there and score, both of you. All right, next up, we've got Anaheim Ducks, New York Islanders. Scott Laughton is out again for Philly, and they do miss him, no doubt. Laughton's had a nice year for them. All right, next up, we've got the Ducks and the Islanders. New York Islanders here, minus 170, home favorites, 5.5 the total, shaded to the under. in this game. I like the over here again in this game, Vito. Believe it or not, with the Ducks just because the Islanders, I think there's value with their games right now over the total. Their offense is starting to light it up. Anders Lee, you got to look at this player right now from a prop standpoint for the Islanders, the captain. Anders Lee has just been insanely good lately. He's been scoring nightly. He's been getting points nightly. He has been just terrific for the New York Islanders. Just in just one of those zones right now offensively. Had a hat trick against Columbus. He had 3 points, 2 goals, and an assist against Colorado. He scored a goal against Winnipeg the other night. He's now got 7 points in the last 3 games and 6 goals in the last 3 games for the New York Islanders. So no doubt Anders Lee has got it going at the moment for the Islanders. And it's not just him. Now they got Matt Barzal back, which is significant. He returned against Winnipeg the other night. Didn't have a point, but just having him back means you got to pay attention to him on the ice. Brock Nelson, Josh Bailey is another one that's starting to. Where's Josh Bailey been? You haven't been able to find him with a telescope this year at times. 6 goals. That's it for him in 47 games for the Islanders this year. Haven't been able to find him with a telescope much of the season. But all of a sudden, he's got goals in back-to-back games, scored against Columbus, got 2 goals against Winnipeg, and he has 4 points in the last 2 games for the Islanders. So I never would have thought I would say this at any point, but maybe you look at some Islander props tonight in this game against this struggling Anaheim team. When you look at Brock Nelson as well, 2 points against Winnipeg. He's now registered a point in 5 straight games. He has scored a goal in 4 straight games. So Brock Nelson is another one to target maybe. I think the Islander props might be worth a look here because, look, Anaheim, they still gave up a lot to New Jersey last night. The chances were there. The high danger chances were there. New Jersey just wasn't finishing. That's 2 games in a row. New Jersey's had a bunch of chances and didn't finish. They didn't finish against Winnipeg. They didn't finish against Anaheim last night. But the Ducks are still giving up a lot in their own zone. And Stolarz was very good as well. Let's not forget that. Anthony Stolarz played last night for Anaheim. He played very well in that game. Who's in net tonight for them? It's a back-to-back. Sorokin confirmed for the New York Islanders. Do they go back to Gibson? I hope they go back to Gibson because Gibson's horrible right now. And we've talked about this now for a long period of time. John Gibson's got him and Connor Hellebuck, both of them, they've got goaltending concerns. They've got definite concerns and struggles at the moment. Gibson, dating back to February the 11th, Vito, has given up 4-4-7, 4-4-3, 5-5-3. Those are the goals that he's given up in those starts. It's 3 goals in every single game at the very least. So keep an eye on who's in net. It's either going to be Stolarz on a back-to-back or it's going to be Gibson. I think they got to give Gibson a look. I mean, he's struggling, but it's a back-to-back. I think this is a spot you got to play him, see if he can turn it around. I don't trust him to turn it around. I'm looking at Islander props. I think they win the game. They've certainly got the rest advantage. They played Friday night, back-to-back for Anaheim. Anaheim's not playing well, especially defensively. They can't score all of a sudden a little bit either, but Zegras did come back yesterday, which is big. At least should help them a bit offensively going into this game. I like those Islander props. Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, Josh Bailey. If you really want to go for a bargain price and a bargain player prop, Josh Bailey points in to score a goal as well. I think Islanders win the game, but I'm not going to lay -180, and I'm going to look over 5.5 here, plus 100. Because look, the stats bear it out. The New York Islanders, the last 10 games, they're 7-2-1. Sorry, to correct myself here. They are 8-2 to the over in their last 10 games. 8-2 to the over the last 10 games for the New York Islanders. So right now there's value over the total for this team because they're scoring again now a little bit. And also their defensive game and goaltending this year, for the most part, hasn't been nearly as good. So there is some value over the total right now, in my opinion, in New York Islanders games. What do you think here, Vito? Anaheim, New York.
Yeah, well, looking at Islanders, finally they have won 2 games in a row. I mean, 2 great teams, like Columbus, which is a decent team, and Jets also. But I mean, by a good margin with the score, 6-0 and 5-2. Those are great victories. So look like Islanders little bit have started to play better hockey here. I mean, a little bit too late in the season, I guess, right? But still, they had tough schedule in the start of the season. They were on this long road trip. Then they were banged up with those injuries, right? And overall tough season for the Islanders, but they're still a great team, good coach, right? So at this spot, I mean, first meeting, Islanders won 4-0 in Anaheim, and that took place in 28 February. So that's not too long ago, just like 2 weeks ago. And the shots, 34 shots for Ducks, 22 shots for Islanders. So it looks like Islanders, yeah, scored early in that game, then got it 2-0 and just hold on to the victory. It was a great game for Islanders. And I mean, from the Ducks side, at the moment they are on this road trip. They're gonna play Rangers, I think, on Tuesday. And at the moment, they're all three in this road trip. They only have got 1 point, which they got yesterday. And they were lucky against Devils that they actually got that 1 point yesterday. For me, Ducks are a fade team now. I mean, I was starting to fade them even before the All-Star break. I think, yeah, here I see four game losing streak for them against Red Wings, Seattle, Calgary, and Oilers. Then they kind of got a little bit back in game. Won few games there against Canucks, Sharks, lost against Kings and Islanders, then won against Bruins, lost against Vegas, won against Sharks in OT against Sharks, and that was a great spot for Ducks in that game. I remember 7th March, only 3-2 in OT against the Sharks. So yeah, Ducks definitely have cooled off here. I mean, the second part of the season looks like they have lost the playoff spot. I'm not sure if they really get back in the game now. And this road trip is getting only worse and worse. 3 games in a row, they are lost. I'm not sure if they can beat this Islanders team. I understand the Ducks are due to win, but this is not a team which I can trust due to win situations, because I'm not against the Islanders, which have won 2 games in a row. I mean, Islanders playing well. If anything, well, I'm checking now. Well, if anything, maybe with Gibson called. Yeah, I think the over should be the play here, definitely. But also maybe Islanders can get this job done in regulation and get the 3rd win in a row. Well, Islanders are still team who thinks. I think they need to get the pride back in the season. So I think that they can easily win today.
There we go, like in the over, and Islanders in regulation, a lean there for Vito as well against the Anaheim Ducks in this one. I think it's very. I think they will win this game tonight. I think they should. Islanders are struggling. They also missed Ryan Getzlaf. I know it's not Ryan Getzlaf in his prime anymore, but he's still leader of the team, captain. You do miss that being on the bench, game in and game out, steady the ship. When things are going rough in a game, Ryan Getzlaf's there, getting everybody get their heads on straight, calm everybody down, and you don't have that now with him injured. So that dynamic is missing as well right now for the Anaheim Ducks. When the shit goes terribly for them lately, Ryan Getzlaf's not there to say, "Hey, let's go, guys. Let's get it together here." No, he's not there. He's injured. So you can't underestimate that dynamic missing from this team right now.
Yeah, well, just watch. All these leaders are very important. Look for the Kings now. I mean, I think Dustin Brown is out, and what's happening with that team? I mean, he's a 3rd liner, but I have told that before. Kings need this big 4. They need Quick, Doughty, Kopitar, and Dustin Brown. He's very important in depth as well. So all these teams have these players like Getzlav as well for Ducks, which he just needs to be in the lineup. He just needs to be in the locker room. It just changes the way the team prepares the mindset for the game and everything. He's been there. He's done that. He's been in playoffs and everything, and he can bring that what the team needs. Missing a guy like that is a big thing for Ducks.
No question about it. Definitely missing him, and again, leadership, all kinds of different things that you miss with no Ryan Getzlaf on the ice for the Anaheim Ducks, and obviously a team struggling at the moment, no question. All right, one of the games of the day. Definitely, this was the last time these teams played. It was just recently. It was in Colorado. Calgary won in overtime. This was a phenomenal hockey game. Not a good game, a phenomenal game. It had everything. It had great goals, great goaltending, great plays. It was a physical game, lots of hits, a great fight between Milan Lucic and Curtis McDermott. Maybe they'll meet up again. Maybe we'll see another scrap with those two guys tonight. I wouldn't mind that. It was a heavyweight tilt. It had everything, that game, and made me think, wow, what a playoff series it would be if Calgary plays Colorado. But we get them again tonight in the regular season. Flames and Avalanche. Avalanche minus 160, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Should be a good one. Hopefully it can live up to the quality of that last meeting with these two teams. Situations are somewhat similar because I believe we're going to see Dan Vladar once again for Calgary in this game against Colorado. And he was a surprise starter, Vito, against Colorado the last time they played the Avalanche. And he played well. And obviously they won that game on a Johnny Gaudreau overtime goal. So he played well in that game for the Flames. And Markstrom started last night against Detroit. And I think Daryl Sutter senses that, hey, Vladar played well against Colorado. Let's start him again here tonight against Colorado. So I would expect Daniel Vladar in net for the Flames. Darcy Kemper, it should be for Colorado. For Colorado, they need to get back on track a little bit. It's been a little bit of a rough patch for the Avalanche. 1-4 in their last 5 games. The only victory was against the Islanders, 5-4, and they had to hang on to win that game. They lost to Calgary. They lost to Arizona. They lost to New Jersey. They had a lead, and they blew it, losing 5-3. And then they get shut out by Carolina 2-0 to end that road trip, that 3-game road trip through the Islanders, Devils, and Hurricanes. So a little bit of a struggle right now for the Avalanche. And look, their penalty killing's been poor. 5 power play goals allowed. That's trouble because Calgary, look what they've done with the power play here. They have scored 5 power play goals in the last 5 games. And going back to their last 8 games, this team has 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 power play goals in the last 8 games. So it's actually a little bit of a special teams advantage here for Calgary going into this game. But at the same time, Colorado has lost 2 in a row. They're back home. They lost to Calgary the last time they played, which was in this building just 8 days ago, 4-3 in overtime. There is a little bit of a rest advantage for Colorado. While they are coming off a 3-game road trip, they haven't played since Thursday when they lost to Carolina. So 2 days off to get reacclimated back home in Denver. That is something that should probably help them. And the Calgary Flames have played a shit ton of games. Look at this week alone, since March the 5th, or really we'll go back even further. Since March the 7th, or March the 1st, I should say, since March the 1st, they've played 7 games. This will be their 8th game in 13 days for the Calgary Flames. So that is a lot of hockey. And now you're playing in the thin air and altitude of Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City, on a back-to-back. Colorado off 2 losses, rest advantage, revenge spot. You know, I first thing I looked at was, man, don't I have to look at Calgary here, plus 135, the way they're playing? I've got to look at Calgary. But then I looked at it more, and I considered what Calgary's gone through. This is their 8th in 13 days. 8th game in 13 days. Colorado's been sitting there waiting for them, licking their chops probably after losing in overtime to Calgary last time. 2 days off, rest advantage. Calgary, thin air altitude, back-to-back. That was not a back-to-back for Calgary the last time they played in Denver. No, they played March 3rd against Montreal at home. They lost 5-4. And then they played on the Saturday, 2 days later against Colorado. So this is different. This is back-to-back for Calgary, an 8th game in 13 days. I just get a sense Colorado might get them tonight. I'm not taking Colorado. I'm not laying minus 155, not even taking them regulation, but I was initially leaning Calgary. But I basically for the last couple of minutes have voiced the thought process that was running through my head when I was thinking about this game. And the thought process tells me, Ian, don't do it. Don't take Calgary tonight. Colorado's probably sitting on a big effort and a big game. We'll see if that is indeed the case. What do you think here, Vito? Should be a good one, though. Calgary, Colorado, once again.
Yeah, well, I think this is one of my betting angles. Definitely, I want to be on the team, as you say, which is going to bring the effort, And Avalanche is a great team. And as you said many things about this game. First of all, the rest. I mean, this is the 5th game in this week for Calgary. They played a back-to-back in the start of the week, and they're playing a back-to-back in the end of the week. That's a lot of games. And Vladar is also. Do you think, guys, Vladar's playing 2 perfect games against Avs? No, don't know. So yeah, I think in this spot, I'm definitely looking at Avalanche. I know the price is juiced. I know the Landeskog is out, but still we have some great offense, obviously, for Colorado. That shouldn't be a problem. Well, I know the Flames is not a bad team, but you just sometimes I need to look simple, that the rest advantage are on the Avalanche side. Obviously, that revenge factor also. I mean, if you look from Avalanche, they just now had 3 days off, waiting for the Calgary to come back, then play at home. So They're gonna wait 3 days, and now Calgary is gonna come win them. That's gonna be a very, very bad feeling for them, after the game. I mean, lose 2 times, then they need to really start to think about what they're gonna do in playoffs. I mean, if they cannot win a Calgary team, which is gonna be on the back-to-back on the fifth game in this week, also after a win in the last head-to-head game, everything leads here to Colorado, guys. And maybe I'm thinking actually now which bet to make. Kind of was looking at over 3.5 as well. Couldn't be a bad look for the Avs. I mean, with Vildar in the net, I can see Avs getting maybe 4 goals here. Maybe the game can end 3-3 and Avs getting the fourth one in OT. Maybe the Avs scoring just 4 in regulation, it ends 4-2, or like a 4-4 game. I mean, Flames also can score, and Avs defense sometimes also can let in goals. So regulation or over 3.5 for me here in this game for Avs. That's what I'm looking at.
There you go. Like in regulation for Colorado, get a better price, obviously, the minus 155 with Colorado in regulation. And also maybe their team total over 3.5 for Vito as well in this one. Again, Dan Vladar is a backup goalie. Let's remember that even though he led Calgary to victory against Colorado 8 days ago, this is now a second look for Colorado against Dan Vladar. It's kind of like, and I say this in baseball a lot, when a hitter sees a pitcher for a second time in like a week or 2 weeks, the hitter makes the adjustment. The hitter is more prepared for what's to come. They're more prepared for where the vulnerabilities are with that pitcher. That could be the case for Colorado, which we know is a very loaded machine offensively when they're on their game. And now they get a second look, a second crack, if you will, at Dan Vladar. And you might see different results tonight, after this one. Now they know a little bit more his tendencies, maybe his weaknesses, and maybe a better idea how to exploit them. So we'll see tonight for Colorado, but there's definitely a lot of things to definitely keep in mind for this game. Should be a good one. I'm with Vito though in terms of from a situational standpoint. Clearly, it points to Colorado here in this one tonight. All right, not Los Angeles and San Jose. We got to change that. Florida and Los Angeles next up here. We got 2 games left. The Florida Panthers taking a ton of money, and if you see the LA Kings rap sheet length injury report, you understand maybe why they're taking some money. Florida minus 210 now. Road favorites at the Crypto House, as I like to call it, crypto.com arena in Los Angeles. The total in this one currently 6.5, shaded to the under in this game. All of a sudden, you rewind just back to a week ago, and everybody is just so in awe and impressed with this LA team and the way they're playing. And wow, this team, they're second in the Pacific Division. What a turnaround season it's been. Let's give Todd McClellan the Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year. All this stuff, and now all of a sudden the roof is caving in a little bit for LA. And it's not all that they've played poorly. Obviously they've struggled the last 2 games in particular, both against San Jose, bad losses to a team that's way out of the playoffs. But, there's always that team that one team just cannot beat that team, or they always struggle with that team. They always have a tough time with that team. For the LA Kings, that's the San Jose Sharks. They're always having a difficult time with the San Jose Sharks. And boy, did they have a tough time with them 2 games in a row, losing at home in overtime and then just getting absolutely drubbed 5-0 last night in the Shark Tank by the San Jose Sharks. And now to make matters worse, this is now all of a sudden the injuries are mounting at an alarming rate for this hockey team. And it's especially true on the blue line with what we're seeing. They were already missing Sean Walker, who's a growing and improving blue liner for this team. Alex Edler's been out for a long period of time. Now they're down Drew Doughty. He's out, the veteran presence on that blue line. Matt Roy, who has been very good for them on the blue line. And he, of course, is day-to-day now due to injury. They're already without Victor Arvidsson up front. Athanasiou now is on IR. He had been playing pretty well lately up front for the Kings in a top 6 role. He's now out. And Dustin Brown, the heartbeat, one of the holdovers, one of the mainstays of that Stanley Cup dynasty run for the Kings with Drew Doughty. And now he's out for an extended period of time as well. So this team just took an absolute beating in terms of injuries mounting for the LA Kings the last 2 games. Very, very unfortunate to see that. And obviously now with all these guys out of the lineup, this is going to be a struggle for them potentially tonight against this just this absolute machine that is the Florida Panthers right now. They've won 5 in a row. They've scored a grand total of 6, 12, 16, 19, 25 goals in the 5 games during this win streak. They're averaging 5 goals per game during this win streak for the Florida Panthers. I like their team total over 3.5 tonight. That's the way I'm going to approach it. Don't worry about them winning the game. I'm not laying minus 210, although they do have obviously an advantage in the schedule. Kings played last night in San Jose. It's back-to-back for them. It's the third game in 4 nights for them. Whereas for Florida, they've had 2 days off since wrapping up that homestand against Philadelphia, or that having that home game against Philadelphia. And, since March 8th, this is only their 3rd game. So for the Florida Panthers, this is their 3rd game in 6 days. So very, very manageable schedule lately for the Panthers. I think they probably win. This is just way too depleted of an LA Kings team right now. It's awful to see this. If you're a Kings team, Vito, you're horrified seeing this. You've had this great season, and you just hope all of these cluster injuries now, key injuries. Thank goodness you still have at least Kempe and Kopitar up front for them right now. Hopefully nothing happens to those 2 guys. But still, this is a lot. This is a lot of blue liners that are out, key defensemen, couple of forwards that you'll miss, Brown and Arvidsson in particular. Athanasiou was playing well. You'll miss him. That's a lot to overcome. And now you got to play this juggernaut Florida that's just running over teams again right now. So I like Florida team total in this, over 3.5 in this game. I think it'll be quick in net for the LA Kings. Should be Sergei Bobrovsky for Florida. But Quick, had a good season, but not lately. Gave up 5 in that blowout loss, 7-0 to Boston. He gave up 3 goals to Columbus, gave up 4 goals to San Jose when he faced them on Thursday night. Jonathan Quick has kind of tailed off the last few games, and that could be some trouble tonight against this Florida offense. So I like Panthers team total in this one. Vito, what do you think here? Florida, LA.
Yeah, I mean, man, LA has lost a lot of players. I'm checking now. Jude Doughty, if that guy is not playing, that's bad for them. And I mean, if you guys just watch, we're always talking about the Florida, about their home record. I think they have lost like 4 games, right, at home, or 5, something like that. Kings is one of the teams which beat the Florida at home. So that's one thing you can look at here. A little revenge maybe for Florida. I mean, they haven't lost many games at home.
Yep.
I think they remember who they lost like 3 or 4 games at home. So Kings are one of those teams. So yeah, and this is they get this Kings team here banged up with injuries. Haven't played any price money on this game. Just I think always when I watch when the game ends, I'm like, why I haven't bet the Panthers? I mean, man, they're scoring always 4 goals, or they usually covering the puck line, or it goes over. That's the team actually you can trust. But that's why the price is so juiced all the time on them. But that's what it is, That's the one team which actually brings it every, not every night, but mostly every night in and out. There is of course 82 game season, and there is up some games you cannot really get up to, But most of the games you have seen Florida, even if they're down, they're getting back in game and they're performing well. I mean. So hard to play anything against the Florida team, obviously, and Kings are on a back-to-back. So yeah, only way how to look here is Florida guys. I would definitely agree with that over 3.5. Quick hasn't been great last games. If you saw him playing against Boston the other night, that looks like the pucks went through his glove. Looks like he couldn't catch the puck. I mean, all the pucks went through his glove. So yeah, some confidence issues for that guy. I mean, Quick also is a legendary goalie, obviously, and he has won many Stanley Cups. So, yeah, those goalies will bounce back, for playoffs. It's all fine. He's just having a rough little few weeks. So, you can now catch him cold. And, well, obviously, for the Quick, it would be the get-right spot against the Panthers if he can, save 40 shots, out of 42, for example, or something like that. But, yeah, lately he's been cold. So, that leads me definitely to Panthers over 3.5 in this game.
All right. Yeah, I like that too. And I'd rather do that than regulation regulation's not a bad price, but I think Florida's going to win the game 95% of the time. When Florida wins a game this year, they at least score 4 goals. So that's why I say, you know what, just if you like Florida, take over 3.5 at a -130, because that's the price with that right now. It's a good price. It's a good number. You don't usually get 3.5s all the time with Florida. A lot of their team totals lately, especially when they're at home, have been 4.5. We've seen 4.5s lately with team totals on the Florida Panthers. So take advantage of this. It's 3.5 minus 130. Good price. And again, a depleted LA Kings team that they're facing tonight. And a team, as Vito mentioned, Florida lost at home to the LA Kings back in December. So, one of their rare home losses. So I think you get Florida maybe they'll be reminded of that. The reporters know what's up. The reporters, when they ask the players and the coach, Brunette, the questions, they'll ask them, hey, you lost to this team back in December. And they know what happened. So I think you'll get Florida finding a way to get the win. And I think they'll get at least 4 goals. I like that team total here.
Yeah, let me add that. I mean, this is the first game on the road trip for the Florida. We know that Florida performs always good. And I mean, we have seen them kind of not performing well on the tail end of the road trips. I think they lost to Kraken one time West Coast. They had some hard game against Blackhawks. Also, like the Blackhawks actually were dominating them in the first period. I remember because I had wager on Florida in that game. It ended up lucky Florida won that game, but Blackhawks were better in the first period. So Florida always don't perform their best when actually you can expect them not performing their best at bad situational spots, and they perform good when they are in good spots.
Exactly right. And they're playing better on the road lately. I mean, they pounded Buffalo. They beat a very good Pittsburgh team on the road earlier this week. So Florida's starting to get things going a little bit in terms of playing better on the road. And yeah, I think that they'll find a way to get it done here tonight. And by the way, you got to bet this. I think you have to bet this. This is one of the best player prop bets going right now. It's just been automatic. It's been Florida plays. You see Florida on the schedule. You bet Alexander Barkov over 1.5 points. Bet it, forget it. It's going to come in. He has been just terrific lately. And this over 1.5 points on Alexander Barkov has been like just coming in time and time and time again. And you can get usually plus 150 around that price every game for him to get at least 2 points. It's been a great bet. I've talked about it a lot lately. Definitely going to be looking in that direction. Yep, Barkov over 1.5 points here for the Panthers. And there's another guy in the last game that we're going to talk about here for the Sunday card that is every bit as good a player points prop bet right now. And it's in this game, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vancouver Canucks. Final game on this Sunday card. Tampa Bay minus 145 road favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the over in this game. What's wrong with Tampa Bay? I mean, wow, 3 losses in a row, and they really weren't particularly good in any of these games. The Winnipeg game, Vasilevsky, he looked totally lost. He couldn't track the puck. He was down early. Rebound control sucked. One of the goals went right through the wickets. You never see that kind of stuff from Vasilevsky, that game against Winnipeg. I don't think he was great against Calgary. Maybe he was a little bit better, but he still wasn't Vasilevsky level against the Flames. And then last night against the Edmonton Oilers, Brian Elliott wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great. More than anything, where did the offense go for Tampa Bay? That's the one thing you usually don't have to worry about with the Tampa Bay Lightning, their ability to score goals. Usually they're able to do that every game. We'll see if they can turn it around here. The one thing now, Vito, is if you're ready to give Tampa Bay a shot tonight to snap this 3-game losing streak, they have not lost 4 in a row all year. This team has not dropped 4 games in a row all season long. Their longest losing streak has been 3 games. So that is what they're trying to avoid tonight. Their first
early beginning of the season, I think.
Yeah. They lost games. 3 in a row, December 30, 31, and January 2nd. Florida and 2 to the Rangers. And then all the way back in October, Vito, they lost 3 in a row. Florida, Colorado, Buffalo. 3 losses in a row for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So 2 3-game losing streaks, but they've never had a 4-game losing streak. And that's what's on the line tonight. I still can't lay a price with Tampa. I don't want to right now. Something's off. Something's missing. Things just aren't clicking. I'm seeing John Cooper with this blank stare, this 1,000-mile stare on the bench. I think he's struggling to figure out, to put his finger on what's exactly wrong right now with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But clearly they're in a little bit of a funk, and really 3 straight losses. And to be honest, they're also 1 and 4 of their last 6 games. The only 2 teams they've beaten, Vito, the only 3 teams they've beaten in this month, the month of March: Ottawa, Detroit, Chicago. Sisters of the poor. They haven't beaten a good team. They haven't beaten a good team this month. the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, Vancouver, I think, is a little better than Ottawa, a little bit better than Detroit, a little bit better than Chicago. Look, tough loss for Vancouver. I like the effort. They had a tough start. They got behind 2-0 early to Washington on Friday night, but they responded. Great third period, came all the way back, tied the game, took the lead. Washington tied it late, and then the Capitals ended up winning in overtime 4-3 against the Canucks on Friday night. But I like the effort from the Canucks. I like the resolve. I like the fight, the spirit. They didn't give up when they were down by 2 in that game. I would only, it's dog or pass for me in this game right now. It's Vancouver or nothing. I mean, Tampa Bay, I got to see signs of a turnaround here, including for their goalie, Vasilevsky, who will be in net, which we expected because Brian Elliott got the start against Edmonton last night. Vasilevsky tonight, he's had 2 subpar games in a row. Does he turn it around? Does the team turn it around? We'll see, but I'm a little bit hesitant because I thought last night was a good spot for Tampa to turn it around. They didn't, and that was another shoddy effort from them in that game against the Oilers. Like, they got outshot 48-32. Like that, there was no fluke in that 4-1 loss. They deserved that loss. They got their ass kicked by the Edmonton Oilers last night. Not exactly playing like a 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion at the moment. Haven't bet it yet. I may not bet it. Probably won't. But for me, dog or pass. Canucks are nothing for me at this price. Got to see signs of a win and a better game from Tampa before I step in with them. What do you think here, Vito? Tampa Bay, Vancouver.
Yeah, well, Tampa Bay is still a very great team. Even if it's not clicking, they can win even on any given night. So yeah, it's hard to play anything against the Tampa. On the road, yeah, they have lost now 3 games, and they're gonna play. They're gonna have 2-day rest after this one, and they're gonna play Kraken. So yeah, I will not play Tampa in this game. I'm not hoping them to lose, because that's still kind of hoping, not hoping. Well, if they don't show up till then the Canucks somehow wins this one in OT or shootout, or even if this goes to OT. If Lightning don't win in 60 minutes, even if this goes to an OT, I think Lightning will win Kraken after 2 days. They cannot end this road trip 0-5. So I will play that. The game will lay there like a puck line or something on Lightning. I think I'm gonna find that full effort from them in that game, because here they're still gonna be over back-to-back. Obviously they will bring the effort, but they're still gonna be on a back-to-back. It's still the 3rd game in 4 days. It's still a road trip for them. Vasilevsky, haven't been the same goalie on the road as he's on a home. I actually played the over in the first game with the Tampa on the road against the Jets. It ended 7-4. So I didn't think it was 3-3 in the first period in that game. So yeah, that was maybe the easiest payouts for me this week. But back to this game. Somehow I think Demko plays for Canucks also. Demko against Vasi also, it's hard to go over. Maybe goalie start to play great in this game. Who knows? So I don't have strong opinions. I will just stay away from this game. If Tampa manage to lose this one, then I will play Tampa on Wednesday against Kraken. You're muted.
I'm going to take the over. The more I look at it, because I have been riding Vancouver over the total. I'm going to take it over 6. I'm going to take it -120. Because the way I see it, Vasilevsky could play great. Demko could play great. But is Tampa Bay really going to, I love these spots for Tampa Bay when they score 1 goal the previous game. There's been so many times where when Tampa has that game where they lose, they only score 1 goal. It's usually the floodgates open for Tampa Bay the next game. And I wonder if that happens tonight. And look, Vancouver, how can you argue with it? What is it now? 10 in a row over the total for the Vancouver Canucks? 10 straight overs. 10-0 to the over in their last 10 games. So I'm going to take that. Win or lose, I cashed it with Vancouver, Washington again. Another Canuck game over the total Friday night. I've been on a lot of these. I mean, the Montreal Vancouver over, I was on that. Toronto Vancouver over, I was on that. Islanders, Vancouver, I took over there. Jersey, Vancouver, same thing. I was on.
What about Tampa team total over 3.5? I think it's a very great price, right?
That's very good. You know what? You could even go Vancouver team total, Vito, over 2.5 -140 because, look what they've done. They've scored 3, 5, 6, 4. They scored 2 against New Jersey. That's the one time they were under 2.5. And then they scored 5 against the Rangers, 7 against Calgary at home, 5 against Seattle at home, 4 against Anaheim at home. that they've basically gone over 2.5 goals 9 of the last 10 games. So their team total over 2.5 is probably not a bad way to go too in this. Or you could say if Tampa Bay, after 2 straight losses, they're pissed off, they're angry, they're due to smack the shit out of somebody. Maybe it's tonight, Vancouver. Then you could go Tampa team total. But that's why I like the over 6. I'm going to maybe trust both teams maybe to get on the board because Vancouver's off a loss too to Washington the other night. Frustrating loss. They didn't start well. So you'd expect some emphasis to be aggressive early in the game from them. You'd expect that from Tampa. You know what? Now that I'm talking myself into a bunch of things here, I'm staying off the side. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not taking Tampa minus 145. I'm not taking Vancouver plus 125. I will be on over 6. I'm going to look maybe at the first period, both teams to score in this game, plus 150. I like that. Plus 150, both teams to score. I think both teams can find the back of the net in the opening period at a good price, plus 150. Both teams to score first period. And yes, I haven't mentioned it yet. I will get to it now. JT Miller, that's the player I'm talking about for the Vancouver Canucks. He has been cashing his over 1.5 points prop, which has been around plus 150 to plus 200 in most games with JT Miller to get 2 points. He's been terrific. I mean, he's just been automatic with the points of late for the Vancouver Canucks. I don't know if he's playing even better because of the trade rumors or incentive to show Vancouver, hey, you can't trade me. Look what I'm doing for you. This guy has 8 points in the last 3 games, 2 points against the Leafs, 4 points against Montreal, 2 more points the other night against Washington. Yeah, JT Miller over 1.5 points is an automatic right now for me. Automatic play, automatic bet. JT Miller over 1.5 points, just like Barkov for Florida over that 1.5 point prop as well. So I think those are 2 players you've really got to look at now from a points prop standpoint with what they're both contributing to their respective teams at the moment. Great stuff. Vito is contributing great analysis here on the Ice Guys show Saturdays and Sundays. That's his contribution right now. Great stuff, Vito, as always, on this Sunday slate. We'll wrap it up with best bets in just a second. But before we do that, of course, we want to mention great partners here at the Hockey Podcast Network and the Ice Guys. And that is, of course, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. Of course, great opportunities to take advantage of and incentives and promotions with DraftKings Sportsbook, especially for the NHL. New customers, you can bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's right, a bump in the win column for your team means free bets for you. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you still have a shot to light the lamp. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, best bets now to wrap up this Sunday edition of the Ice Guys. Vito, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
I was just now going through the whole slate. I guess I see the Wild and Predators are pretty juiced on that over. I guess over 6.5 is now available. So don't really want to love the 6.5. So I'm gonna go with another over 6, but just in Blues and Jets game. Give me over 6 there.
All right, Winnipeg, St. Louis over 6. Best bet for Vito. I will go with that Minnesota-Nashville over. There are still a couple of 6s out there. A couple books have 6. Even at 6.5, I endorse it. And look, we probably will be seeing David Riddick in net for Nashville. And I certainly don't trust that guy to keep the puck out of the net against Minnesota, especially on Minnesota on home ice here in this game where they can really light up the scoreboard. I like goals in mini tonight. Let's go Predators, Wild over 6 for my best bet for this Sunday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. We appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't done so already. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Vito, Renus Vitolins, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. I'm off to the Heritage Classic. I can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. Enjoy the games and good luck, everybody. Have a great Sunday. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.